Liverpool 3, Nottingham Forest 0. What are the 5 key takeaway points we've got from this game? Welcome to What We Learnt. Afternoon, everybody. I hope you're doing well, and welcome to the 5 things we learnt from Liverpool 3, Nottingham Forest 0. Coming up, we're going to be talking about the Marinakis excuse. We've got to talk about Sangare. We've got to look at the keeper situation. There's a couple of other key things that need to be covered off. So make sure, if you're enjoying the content, as always, hit that like button, subscribe to FFTV, and let's jump into this. And I think we've got to start with the key one for me, which is the Sangare saga, shall we call it, for want of a better phrase. And is Sangare really living up to current expectations? He seems very lethargic on the pitch. He doesn't seem to be that interested in what's going on. And he is, of course, our big money signing from the summer. And I would say, I get all the criticism, I do. But remember Lodi. Renan Lodi, when he came in, people were saying he's not good enough, get Tuffalo back in the team. And halfway through the year, a lot of people were changing their opinions, and we were very sad once Lodi left. Now, there is still differences between the two, because you wouldn't have really said that Lodi's attitude was ever or appeared to ever be below par. But Sangare does seem to stroll around the pitch a little bit, can't be asked to chase back. I had him at fault for the second goal yesterday. But then again, when you're a great player, sometimes you don't need to do all that running around. Your appearance can be deceiving. I'll give you Messi as the example. He'll stroll around a pitch for 88 minutes, but in those 2 minutes he doesn't, sensational things happen. Zinedine Zidane, one of the greatest players in my opinion of all time, he looked very, very lazy around the pitch. But of course, whenever he got the ball, magic would happen. Now, I'm not comparing Sangare to either of those two players, anything but. But what I'm saying is his style of play isn't what we're currently used to. A lot of people are comparing him to the likes of Ryan Yates in terms of Yates' passion, desire, and drive, and that's what he's missing. I do agree, but not every player plays in the same style. For me, the big thing with Sangare is I think he's being played too high up the pitch in a system that's designed to be too defensively minded. I think where he looked to start to shine was when he played against, say, Burnley at home at the City Ground. He was starting to control that midfield. His debut as well, those first 20 minutes against Sheffield United, he looked fantastic. And I just think he needs a bit more time. I do feel, well, we can tell you for facts, because obviously we were involved in the signing, he doesn't speak a word of English. Everything that's being put into him from Steve Cooper's tactics and things is all coming through translators, or maybe from the other players on the pitch, the likes of Bolly, etc. So he needs time to settle down. And once he's settled down, he's going to be absolutely fine. But I do think the style of play needs to be built more towards his strengths rather than his weaknesses. Remember, by the book, he is an attacking 6, if you like, an attacking CDM, someone who will be that final line in front of the defense, and someone who can then win the ball higher up on the pitch. He's very physical. I don't think he's going to have any problems with the pace of the Premier League, but this one's just going to take time. Now, would I share this same kind of leniency to other players? A lot of you are probably saying hypocrite in the comments. The answer is no, because it's about reputation and what they come with. Certain players, when you've seen them before and they come into Forest, you know that their reputation precedes them in either a good or a bad way. And for me, Sangare's reputation precedes him in a positive way. So let's be patient, and I promise you we will see the best out of him. But what do you guys think? Let me know down below. Okay, what's the next thing we learned? Well, this is kind of off the pitch, and this is looking more towards the Forest fans than it is the Forest players. And that's the Marinakis excuse and hiding behind the big man. What do I mean by this? I've been seeing ever since we took that L yesterday, a lot of social media posts where it almost feels like people are scared to air their opinions, and what they end up doing is hiding behind Marinakis, saying things like, and this isn't specific to Steve Cooper, they'll say things like, I love Steve Cooper, but I fear the big man may pull the trigger sooner rather than later. I don't think Marinakis will have the patience for Steve Cooper, and words to that effect. And just go on social media. There's so many posts that say similar things. What does this say to me? I think it says a lot about the people putting these posts up, because I think they're hiding behind Marinakis and using him as an excuse, where potentially they're feeling that maybe they're losing their faith and trust in Steve Cooper, but don't want to publicly air it, be it because they're scared of the backlash from what people will say, be it for they're not quite convinced yet about how they really feel about Steve Cooper. And I just find it fascinating that people will use the Greek father to do this. For me, I've always said, just be honest and say your opinion. If you think Cooper's the man to take us forward, say it. You've got your reasons. You're entitled to it. If you don't think he is, state it. Who cares? It's your opinion and you are free to do it. And you are definitely free to do it on this platform and this channel. Okay, so let's move on to the third big talking point. And this is a point we covered off on the Grumpy Old Red stream yesterday. If you haven't caught it, go check it out after this video. And this is the goalkeeper conundrum. Turner to be dropped. Is it time? Staying on a Greek theme, to bring the Greek in, Vlachodimos. And this probably has the fan base split. In fact, we may even set up a poll on this one on the community channel just to see how you guys are feeling about it all. But Turner was clearly at fault for the third goal. I give him partial responsibility as well for the first goal, parrying it into Jota's path. I understand a lot of people don't agree with me on that, but again, I'm entitled to my opinion. But does that necessitate that he should be dropped for Vlachodimos? Because a goalkeeper's mistakes are always highlighted because they are the last line of defense. And they are the ones who, if they mess up, you're almost 9 times out of 10 guaranteed that a goal comes off the back of it. I don't think he should be dropped for his mistakes. I think he should be dropped for other reasons. For me, he's too slow at moving the ball when it's at his feet. I think he takes too long. And for me, his kicking isn't that great. As I think it was Ant who mentioned it yesterday, he does love kicking it into touch quite a few times. Now, is that because players are not open? I don't think goalkeepers have that excuse this year with Forest, because the likes of Mangala always seem to make themselves readily available to get the ball from deep. And also, I don't think he's that great at receiving crosses either. So for me, should he be dropped? Yeah, I'd try Vlachodimos out. Not because I don't think Turner's good enough, but why not test what we've already got? Look, with a goalkeeper, I've always said, keep it simple. If he can stop the ball from going into the net, if he can make a pass from A to B, that's his job in a very, very loose nutshell done. So let's see how Vlachodimos does. Put him in front of the City ground against Villa. Let's see how he holds up. That's going to be a tough test. But I think with Turner making the mistakes he did against Brentford, the mistakes yesterday at Liverpool, I do think Vlachodimos will now come into the fold. Okay, so let's move on to the next point, and it's a point we've covered off before, but it's a point that does need to be addressed because it was apparent in this game against Liverpool, and that is we are short up front, and this is becoming a major problem. For those of you who don't know, Chris Wood pulled a hammy in training a couple of days ago, and he's out. Now, is that the biggest loss in my opinion? I don't know. I'll let you guys decide. However, when it comes to warm bodies on the pitch, that's another cold one, man, and we need some warm bodies there. Elanga just about made it to the game, but we got Callum Hudson-Odoi out, we got Wood out, and that really just leaves us with Morgan Gibbs-White now and a nearly back to full fitness Taiwo. And that is just not enough in the Premier League. You may not lose games in the Premier League without scoring goals, but you sure as hell are not going to win them. And that is becoming apparent in the pattern of Forest games so far. That's 6 or so now we've gone without winning a game. Yes, we've drawn a lot of those games, but you can almost narrow it down to the lack of options going forward. And this is a big worry that needs to be addressed ASAP in the January window. Okay, so having covered off what we've seen in the game from yesterday, the real question now, because I want to put a line underneath that game, I don't want to think about it again. And if we look ahead, with Villa and West Ham coming up before the international break, where do you guys see the points coming from? Now, Villa's obviously at home, but they are arguably one of the most informed teams currently in the Premier League, with Ollie Watkins going through a real purple patch currently. And can you see us getting a point at the City Ground, or 3? Because ideally, we now need to start picking up some points. We got Villa, then we got West Ham away. Now, West Ham are dropping down the table like a heavy stone, and I'm finding that hilarious, especially talking to the likes of Jace. And on that point, don't forget Beat the Drop tonight at 8 p.m, where Jace is going to get a slapping. But can you see Forest going away to West Ham? Remember, we've only won 2 games away from home in the whole time we've been back in the Premier League. Although we look like we're playing better football in the away matches, they haven't yet transferred into a sustained amount of wins away from home. So can Forest pick up a West Ham? Maybe they can. But following that is Brighton and then Everton, who seem to be picking up. And things are starting to get a little bit butt clenchy for my liking. And I do look at these things and think, where are the points coming from? So where do you guys see the points coming from Villa and West Ham? Do you see any? Maybe you see 6. Let me know in the comments down below. There's been a lot of rhetoric on social media, again, talking about how that Villa draw changed our season last year when it was 1-1 at the City Ground. All I'd say to that is, I don't know why people think history must repeat itself. It can, but it doesn't necessitate there will be those exact same changes from this time last year. But where do I see the points coming from? I think we will draw with Villa, and I think we will draw with West Ham. I think both the games will be tight, scrappy. But where I see 3 points coming from may not be until the Everton match, which is 2 games after the international break. And is that going to be enough for Forest to have secured enough points before then to still keep this buffer up from the relegation zone beneath us? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget tonight, 8 p.m, Beat the Drop. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV. I can't wait for it. We'll see you then. And come on, you Reds.